Some model railroad tips and tricks don't really justify an entire video dedicated to them, but that doesn't make them any less important. Today I'm giving you 30 tips and tricks for model railroading, and we're going to move fast. I'm breaking these tips down into three main sections: planning, building, and running trains. If I have done a deep dive video on the subject, I will be linking that below or at the end of the video. Let's get started. Number one, if you're using planning software, buy the premium versions. I know that that's something that may not be ideal and you want to use the free version. Most track planning programs do have a free version, but it limits the number of pieces you can use as well as some of the features. The premium removes that limit and opens up even more features. If you're on PC, I recommend SCARM. On Mac, I recommend Rail Modeler Pro. Number two, plan for the space you have, not for the space you want. It's great to design a layout for a potential basement, but that layout may never happen. Plan for that spare bedroom or corner that you have right now. Number three, make provisions for expansion. Just because you only have a corner now doesn't mean your situation won't change, so that you don't have to tear down everything that you've done. Make places that is easy to expand your layout, such as track that goes right up to the edge or things like that. Number four, plan to your strengths. For example, if you want an L-shaped layout, but you're a terrible carpenter, maybe build on a set of folding tables. I actually set my layout on a couple of IKEA tables. Number five, design a bunch of layouts until you figure out what you want. The great thing about designing is that you can do whatever you want. You will know when you have the winning design. It just kind of clicks. Number six, Google is your friend. It is most likely that you are not the first person to encounter a problem or issue. Googling and looking at things like train forums as well as social media is a great place to get info and to solve problems. Number seven, make sure you can get your layout in and out of the space that you are putting it in. This isn't as big of a deal in a basement, but if you're doing something like in a spare bedroom like what I have here, you need to make sure you can get your materials in and out. I have a limit on how far I can go out the door of my room, so I always have to make sure that my materials can navigate that turn. Number eight, look for hacks that can make your life easier. Doing things like designing a layout to fit on a pre-made surface like a 4x8 sheet of plywood or a hollow core door can make your design a lot easier to realize. Number nine, most layout planning software can give you a parts list so that when you're shopping for your track, you don't overbuy. Number 10, all layouts require some form of compromise, but when you have to compromise on places that are less important to your enjoyment of the hobby. If you want a double track mainline more than anything, then do your compromises in other areas such as scenery and industries. Number 11, measure twice, cut once. This is advice for any woodwork, but especially with tight tolerances that are involved in model railroading. Number 12, build smart. For example, if you do want your layout to be portable, I wouldn't build it out of heavy 2x4s with legs that don't come off or fold up. Build for your ideal use cases. Number 13, a good viewing height is right around 4 feet for most people. It strikes a balance between accessible and immersive. Number 14, make your bench work solid. It is the foundation for everything else. Number 15, running wires is way easier when you haven't put everything in place. After you do your bench work, you can do your track work and wiring, and that's where you really want to focus and take your time. A good looking layout is ruined when the trains don't run. Number 16, latex caulk is a fantastic adhesive in the construction phase. I have laid track with it, glued foam layers with it. It does take about a day to dry, so you'll leave it overnight, but once it's there, it is a great thing for holding down track and foam and all sorts of things. Number 17, a good coat of paint can hide imperfections down the road. Now what I'm talking about here is your base layer of paint. You're typically going to paint everything on your base, and you're going to paint it usually one solid color. I typically use common household flat latex paint in a color of my choosing, so that when you put your scenery on it, if you have an area that's not perfect, a lot of time that paint is going to help make it less noticeable. Number 18, when gluing down your scenery, remember two things. Number one, you can soak your scenery in isopropyl alcohol to release surface tension, and this lets the glue seep in and gives you a more solid hold once it dries. Number two, The easy and cheap way to make scenic glue is to use 50-50 white glue water mixture, and you can just use the glue that you can get at the craft store. Number 19, if you don't have access to isopropyl alcohol for releasing surface tension, you can use wet water, which is simply water with a few drops of dish soap in it. The difference here is that it takes a lot longer to dry. Number 20, a great deciduous tree that is easy to make look realistic is made using sea foam. The branded version of this is typically called something like Super Trees from Scenic Express. Number 21. When you are getting ready to start an op session, it is a good idea to run your trains around your track for a bit in addition to any cleaning you may do. This will help getting everything nice and cleared off and help your track run smoother during the op session. Number 22. When purchasing rolling stock for your railroad, I usually say a good goal for the amount that you need to buy is enough to fill every spot on a siding twice. This way you have enough to switch out everything on your layout during an op session. Number 23. If you're having derailments on tight turns, it may be your couplers. Most locomotives have body-mounted couplers. If your car has truck-mounted couplers, this may not give enough play to make the turn without jumping the track. You can either use a longer shank truck-mounted coupler or a body-mounted coupler. Number 24. There are two basic types of freight trains: manifest trains, which are mixed freight, and unit trains, which carry a single type of material, such as coal. Manifest trains can have a variety of cars, as this video I'm showing you right here of one I recorded shows. Number 25. The cheapest DCC control system is a DIY system called DCC++EX. This uses an Arduino and several other components to create a DCC base station. All in all, it'll cost you about $50, and it uses your cell phone as a controller. Remember, your locomotives will need to be DCC equipped in order to run on DCC. Number 26. A bamboo skewer is a great uncoupling tool. They're thin, and the point allows you to get in between the knuckles and uncouple trains. Number 27. The further back you go in time for the period you're modeling, the more specialized locomotives become. In modern times, nearly every locomotive could potentially do any job. As you move further back in time, locomotives are more designed for a specific task, such as mainline operations, road, and yard switching. Number 28. Your tightest turn will govern what type of locomotive you can run. Typically, diesels can handle tighter turns than steam locomotives, and 4-axle diesels can handle tighter turns than 6-axle diesels. Number 29. Blocking is the arranging of cars so that they will be in the simplest arrangement possible for delivery to an industry or another train. This is a great task for your yard switcher on your layout. Number 30, remember that the ultimate rule is that it is your railroad and you can do whatever you want with it. So have fun. If you want to watch more, I have these videos right here as well as in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, and happy railroading.